You got the instructions from a computer that you found in the mall.
Yes.
And who helped you?
No one.
You're sure about that?
Yes.
And so long as you got Ebony, you'd have been quite happy to get rid of whoever else was around at the time.
I didn't think anybody else would be.
Not even one of her guards? Or Dee? Or Lex? Did they deserve that?
Who says you're any better? What about all the lives you've taken?
We don't take people's lives. Think about it. With all the stuff we've got, we don't need to. But you were quite willing to eliminate anyone who was in the way at the time. How do you feel about that, Ellie?
Welcome to Series 4, Episode 13 of Conversation on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining the podcast panel today is Sabine.
Hi.
And Tamsin,
Hello.
with episode notes done by Matt and myself. So Series 4, Episode 13. The screenplay was done by Charles Hodges. It was directed by Janet Stubbins, and the episode synopsis was read out by Sabine.
The Mallrats rally around Ellie as the Technos decide her fate. Jay struggles with revelations about Ebony's character, and Lex sets his sights on Siva.
Boo, Lex, boo!
Poor old Siva.
So let's jump straight into the episode because the Mallrats are rudely awakened by the Technos aggressively raiding their home.
What's going on out there? Somebody answer me!
Over at the hotel, Jay challenges Ellie's disregard for anyone who might have been caught up in the explosion, which seems to affect her, but she tells him just how evil Ebony truly is. See a panel! That opening montage of the Techno crackdown, what did you make of it? The reasons for Ellie's actions, and trying to expose Ebony for the evil witch that she truly is.
What on earth did they think they would manage by flipping over everything? Like, taking the computer, I get. That makes sense. But, going over everything, looking into the tiniest things, what on earth did they think they would find there? Printed out manuals on how to build a bomb? Or, laid out plans with how to eliminate the Technos? It's bizarre to see. It's like, what did they think it would what did they think it would do?
Well, I think there's a couple of different things going on here, aren't there? So the first one is it's a show of strength that they can just walk into the mall, drag everyone out of bed, get them to stand there on the stairs, and there's not anything the Mallrats can really do about it. The other thing I wanted to ask was around the computer that they seized. They just take the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take the tower. They just take the monitor. And I don't ever see anyone with the tower because it's back in the days when you had to have a tower. Even the Apple, I think even the Apple Macs had them. So it's like they're just carrying this monitor around, which is the heaviest piece of equipment that they could carry around. And the thing they actually need is the tower. And it's like, okay.
But these Apple iMacs were all-in-ones, right? Weren't they the all-in-one designs?
Were they? Because I remember having one around that time, and there was a tower with it.
Oh yeah, they definitely had towers back then. They weren't, but they didn't have the tech built in. But yeah, I think the show was just trying to show it was a bit more advanced, obviously.
Okay, so then this builds into my headcanon with the tribe being set slightly in the future then.
Yeah, that was the kind of thing. What's it called? Not so distant future. That kind of mysterious period of. It's just that the tribe did it quite weird.
Vindication.
It's just that the transition hasn't been done well in the tribe because back in season 1, you see Dao with this massive laptop. You know what I mean? This really old thing, and then you suddenly have Apple Macs and stuff. It's just. Yeah, it's not transitioned well on the show visually, but yeah, that's what they were aiming for.
Yeah, because they did release like the Apple iMacs G3, the colored ones. They did come out in '89, but so they did exist, but just not with everything in it the way they want to
Yeah.
present
Yeah,
it to
not the
us.
way they're showing.
I have to get back to the stupid computer screen thing. They were all in ones.
Oh, really? Okay.
They actually were.
No, that was a surprise. Yeah, I thought it was a much later.
Yeah,
I
same
had to
here.
double check because I moved a couple of those. Like we had them in the retro gaming museum at some point. So I was like, I know we had several of those, and I don't remember there being towers with them. But after looking it up, yeah, they were all in ones.
Interesting. So that makes sense.
So then it actually makes sense that they were just lugging around what looked like the screen because the rest of the computer was built in.
Mm.
So it wasn't an error.
But not this time.
And these came out before the tribe started filming.
Going back to the reasons for Ellie's actions, I think they were really set out well in the guest you had recently, Chris,
Mhm.
when he was talking about Ellie, the people that she's lost, but also the relation that they have to Ebony. And the fact that, Jack was with Ebony, Alice and Ebony had a fairly okay relationship, and then Luke and Ebony got close towards the end when she was kind of using him. And I thought that was really interesting. And also where you guys all said basically, and they even say it in this episode, that the Technos are too big a target for Ellie to bring down. Whereas Ebony becomes the epicenter of how Ellie feels about what's happened to her. And I thought, yeah, that this episode kind of bears
Yeah.
all that out, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And it's interesting. I liked the interplay between Ellie and Salene because, when they're all on the stairs, you really see how few Mallrats there actually are. I mean, let's count them. So on the stairs, we had Lex, we had Charlie and Mouse, we had Dee, and we had Salene and Chloe, which is probably one of the smallest amount of Mallrats we've ever seen. And I
Was Dee
mean,
even there? Sorry, I just
yeah,
was Dee
she
even?
was.
Oh, she was.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even remember she was in the episode.
Yeah, she was there. She didn't have anything to say, and she's
No.
just like inexplicably there. It was just very strange. I guess what they realized was there are like so few people, and anyway. But I thought it was interesting because in this series so far, we have seen a lot of the Mallrats have to connect to one another, and it's just really interesting because it's mixes that we've never seen before. And I just loved sort of Salene and Ellie's conversation and the fact that these two characters have never really had that much to do with each other. And let's be honest, Ellie has always kind of looked down on Salene, right? I mean, she has. I
Mhm.
feel that anyway. And it was interesting.
I mean,
And
just going back to your lineup thing, they need the show actually needs to stop doing that because we already
yeah,
know there's so few Mallrats. Stop lining them up to show us
yeah,
that there are so few. Like have like shorter cuts, close ups with groups. So that's fine. But when you show them all like that, it's just a dark reminder that we have no one left in the Mallrats,
yeah,
and we're about
yeah.
to lose another one. Like, just stop doing it. It's just a
And
painful reminder.
I would also add to that, they're not actually discussing that. They've stopped discussing the ones that have gone,
Yeah,
which
already.
again is a mistake because you've got the thing is you keep having the Technos saying like we don't have to kill people. You might as well have.
Yeah.
You've blown these people's lives completely to smithereens, and you did it thinking, oh well, we need access to your power station. We need access to you as people who can work for us without a wage, right? We need the power, but these people, their lives have been torn asunder. Let's look at what Ellie's lost. So she's lost her sister and her two boyfriends. Okay, let's look at Lex. He's lost his wife. Everybody in that mall, I would say bar Salene, who'd already lost Ryan and Patsy,
And her baby.
has lost someone. Yeah, has lost someone due to the Technos, and
Doesn't
they
feel like
keep.
it though, does
No, it doesn't, because they don't talk. They talk about it when it's like Lex is trying to put the moves on Siva, and somebody will mention Tysan, but they don't talk about it in a way you actually would. No one counters the response, oh, we don't need to kill people. No, you've just ruined our lives.
Mm.
And it's just really
Mhm.
frustrating because it's right there. We almost see Ellie do it, and it's just, yeah, it's, oh God. It's so frustrating because I understand that they don't want to draw attention to the fact that most of the cast have gone.
Mhm.
But like you said, Lance, they're doing it all the time visually. By lining them up, having them collecting in groups, they're constantly reminding us of who isn't there.
Yeah, I hate it. Stop doing it. Just stop doing it. It's painful.
I did like Ellie's line about her deciding that she was going to do this route the minute she decided not to jump off the roof, that she was going to go down this sort of revenge.
Yeah, it was very Ellie. Like, okay,
Yeah.
suddenly
Yeah.
make a decision. And I'm gonna go for it. Go with it. Like, okay, that was the old
Yeah.
Ellie. I appreciated
Yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
and to be fair, that things like that is what make it so much more convincing that C and Alice are sisters.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a family trait.
Yeah, I'd also say there's an element of surprise there because in her wildest dreams, Ebony is never going to expect Ellie to do this.
Nope.
I don't think anyone thought
No.
Ellie would be able to do this, but yeah. And I mean, just a minor thing on the whole raid. It kind of showed. I appreciated the camera angles. They were done quite well to show like the kind of suspense and stuff. But I didn't like how clean it showed them all.
Yeah.
Like we've just come from the chosen occupation. It just showed how the floors were just clean. Like there was no
Yeah.
rubbish,
Yeah.
no dirt.
This
Everything was just felt sterile.
This is what Salene can do when she doesn't have that many Mallrats running around. No
It
boys
just
to
felt.
distract her.
It's distracting though because it feels like okay now you're making me feel like a set. You know what I mean? Like, rather than a home.
Yeah.
Like this is it's too clean. Like what's happened, guys?
It's clean, and suddenly there are happy drawn cat pictures on the
Yeah,
wall.
and like I saw like a sunbeam. Like oh, it's just like come on. Where's the dirt
Well,
and
I
the
would
grit
say
and the?
it's been getting like that though. It's become being more and more like a set, I'd say, since season 3.
Yeah,
when they
season
had
3
the
started.
terrible lighting.
Yeah,
You know, everything was far too bright. It was clearly lit by studio lights. And
hmm
yeah, again, you had the cleanliness issue. And yeah, I don't think it's really worked.
Yeah.
And also, it's getting smaller. It feels like it's getting smaller,
yeah, we're
Yeah.
losing
which is
bits.
crazy because it should get bigger because there are less people.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I get the children and Celine sharing a room. I get that. That makes
Yeah.
sense. And
Mm.
it's a room that
Yeah.
Patsy and Chloe used to have
hmm
when they were little. So I get that. I get Celine in that room with those kids. But there's a whole mall out there. You don't need to have people next to
It's
you.
odd. It does feel like we have less rooms than season 3. Like, how is that possible? Like, what happened to all those rooms we had? Like Alice's room and like Ned's room. Like,
Section where the Guardian was.
what's
Like that
happened?
whole annex.
Yeah, that whole
appeared.
that whole top level. What's happened to all of these rooms?
Yeah.
Wow, it just feels so small. Bad. Yeah, I mean it's a minor thing, but it just it does irritate me.
Yeah.
Going forward.
No,
Mhm.
it is genuinely quite irritating.
But as for Ellie's plan to just unmask Ebony for the evil witch she is, I think
Well, that feels a bit pointless considering everybody knows exactly who Ebony is.
except for Jay.
Well, he's
Jay-
getting a taste of it now.
Yeah, but the one person who needed that reality check most was Jay.
Yeah.
That's like, it's no use telling it to anyone else. Everyone else knows Ebony, or like Graham, does not care.
Yeah.
Makes her more interesting in his eyes. But
Mm.
towards someone like Jay, who's supposedly the new Bray and all the goody-goody boy bandish vibes around him, Jay needs to be told because Jay can't see what's right in front of his face.
Mm.
I didn't like that part. I don't know if it's because obviously Ellie doesn't quite know the relationship between Jay and Ebony yet, or whether it's just because it's become a running joke. Everyone knows how evil Ebony is, and it just gets swept under the carpet, and no one mentions
Yeah.
it ever. But yeah, I don't know if it's both of those things, but I just didn't like it. I just thought it was kind of pointless.
I don't know. It's just from Ellie's point of view. I think it makes sense because, as far as he's aware, those Technos have no clue what they're dealing with in Ebony.
Yeah, but then why would you take them the wink? I mean, yeah, Ebony
Because-
has betrayed her, but at the same time,
Yeah, but
they're the reason why Jack and Alice aren't around. While why help them?
yeah, but it's not her helping them. It's her trying to make
Trying to
things worse for Ebony.
Yeah.
It's not about helping the Technos. It's about hurting Ebony and justifying her actions.
Mm.
It's not a case of, oh, but you have to be careful with Ebony. Please be warned because he's evil. It's a case of, well, I did this, but do you know what that did?
Mm.
It justifies, or at least it justifies why Ellie makes her choices and why she did what she did.
Yeah.
And it, especially with someone like Jay, that can grant you a little bit of sympathy.
I mean, but she doesn't care what Jay thinks. Like, I mean, I don't know.
No.
That's maybe it's the writing. Maybe if it was written a bit differently,
Yeah.
a different angle to the
Yeah.
conversation. But I don't know.
Can
Yeah,
I
but-
ask a question? If you were Jay and Ellie sort of tells you everything about Ebony,
Why would you
and
care?
then yeah, but my question is, and then you also know that that Ellie tried to blow everybody up, including you, including your boss.
Yeah.
Would you say hierarchy of need? Ebony is worse than Ellie? No, because you don't know who this Amber chick is.
Mm-mm.
This selection, okay. You'd think, arguably, Ellie, you're still in the wrong.
Yeah, she is. She is, but we're supposed to see Jay as this awesome guy who will see the error of his ways.
Mm.
And hey, she's used to dealing with Luke, who's basically the previous version of Jay.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just wish it was written just a bit differently.
It's a confusing. This whole episode is really confusing
It
because
is.
you're not entirely sure whether you're meant to be siding 100% with Ellie, or whether you're meant to think Ellie is completely insane, or whether you're meant to have sympathy with Ebony. Like, the writers, I think, are Ebony fans, so they're gonna have more leeway for Ebony. But it's not really clear how you're meant to feel about any of this and what any of this is meant to sort of mean. I do agree with Sabine that this is Ellie putting a chink between what Jay thinks of Ebony, and he's starting to think maybe she isn't what I think she is. So I do agree with Sabine that this is sort of, he's getting another side of it, but at the same time, it's coming from someone who tried to kill him.
Right.
So whether he would actually take any of that on board.
Yeah, but it's all that she's got left.
Mm.
Ellie has got nothing left to lose. I mean,
Well, I think Ellie's pretty sure that she's going to die.
yeah, but
So I don't think she's actually. From Ellie's perspective, I don't think she's bargaining, trying to make them see Ebony in a different way. I actually think she's just telling them like it is, because she actually hasn't got any rope left. This is it for her.
Okay, so yeah, let's move on to Lex.
Well, now that we've kind of cleared the air, I thought that maybe you'd like to do something together.
Did you just ask me out on a date?
Call it whatever you want. It's an interesting city out there, and I could take you places you wouldn't normally see.
Panel, please, let's talk about Lex, because despite, obviously, his so-called wife being taken away by these Technos, suddenly he's asking Siva out on a date. Please explain.
Surprised by that, though. Let's be honest, when Tai-San was the chosen prisoner, he was trying to hook up with everyone. Ebony, May, that pregnant chick. This is not, I am not surprised by this in the slightest. I would have been more surprised if he hadn't tried to go for Siva. I'd be like, wait, Lex, are you okay?
This is a whole different level.
But if you asked Tai-San, she'd be like, yeah, that's what he does.
But there are different levels. Like, Lex is always a chaser. Yeah, that's fine. But these guys have taken your wife, and you're just now
I agree
saddling
with
up to
that.
them
Yeah.
in what? It's been a month, 6 weeks.
How judgmental was he again of Ellie and Luke?
Yeah. Yeah. But then that is Lex as well, isn't it? He's a hypocrite.
Mhm.
He's a massive
It's-
hypocrite.
And not enough time has gone by for you to
No.
suddenly be
Yeah.
smoozing the enemy. Basically, like, come on, Lex. Not even you. Like, this is disgusting. It's disgusting.
You know, what surprises me in this is, one, we never think about how quick... There's always a lot of discussion about how quickly Amber moved on from Bray,
Yeah.
but nobody ever mentions Lex and Siva in that conversation. It's
Well-
always how dare Amber go for Jay when they're responsible for what happened to
Yeah.
Bray.
At,
But
at
no
least
one-
that was a
Good question.
at least that was a prolonged time that was
Yeah.
building up.
Yeah.
Lex and Siva was like, and then, you're right. That never gets mentioned because Lex gets a free pass. Always
Yeah.
does. It's like,
Well,
that's just
it's
Lex.
the misogyny of it all, isn't it?
Yes,
Let's
exactly.
be honest. He gets a pass and Amber doesn't. And
Right?
it's
Yeah.
because she's a female character. She has to be above reproach. He's a male
Mhm.
character. Oh, he can, it's fine. It's no.
He has
And a
needs.
lot of people didn't like Tysan. As a Tysan fan,
Mhm.
there are a lot of people that don't like her character. And so,
Mhm.
you do find yourself, that is a good question to ask, though. Why does he get a pass? And, like, if this relationship, say it was him and Dee, for instance, you'd be like, okay, that's fine, because that's how he works. When he was in when Tysan was in with the Chosen, like we said, he was trying to hook up with other girls behind her back constantly. So if he made a play for Dee, it wouldn't be great, but it would be within what we know Lex is like and what Tysan knows Lex is like. But I do agree, he's been there sort of bemoaning the fact that Tysan's gone, and now he's trying to hook up with one of the people that took her. Yeah, it's low even for him.
Mhm.
And it's strange for Lex, because, I mean, it even took him a little bit to get with Tysan after Chandra died. At least longer than it took for Bray to get Danny.
Yeah.
And then to see him do this quickly, while he doesn't even know if his wife is alive or dead.
Well, that's the thing as well. Everybody's just taken it for granted that all their loved ones are still alive. It's very strange. And at no point is he trying.
Yet, like, they're still alive and they're gone forever.
But, like, at no point is Lex trying to put any pressure on Ebony to sort of leverage their situation to try and get Tysan back. No, it's just like, oh, well, she'll be fine. These super powerful people
Well,
who can just...
Tysan manages. Tysan always manages.
Yeah,
They just find a guy to
that's true.
pat her eyelashes at.
Well, I mean, we'll agree to disagree on that, because I think, But I would say that it does feel very odd that they're all on the same page with where everybody is and that it's just fine. It's just peculiar.
I remember the first time around when I saw this, I actually had hopes that Lex was trying to get close to Siva in order to be able to find out more.
Yeah.
In order to be able to kind of use her for information on where his wife is kept.
Well, I mean,
that would have
Wouldn't that have been lovely?
But it would have been a much better storyline as well, because he starts using this girl as a way to find out where his wife is, and midway through he catches feelings for her, and then she finds out that he's been using her, and it's like, but you don't have to have Tysan come back immediately. If Siva then finds out that Lex was using her, even though he's got feelings for her, and then that would have been interesting. It would have been a bit like,
And that would have been a lovely moment for Siva to pull out the Tysan card with I don't want my sister with dessert. Here, let's bring his wife into play.
Mm.
And Java could have done a lovely job of that.
Unfortunately, they just didn't want to do anything with Lex. Like this whole, they just didn't want to develop him like that.
Because Lex gets a pass.
Do we think there's a lack of development from Siva as well, and that's why they've put Lex and Siva together? Because it feels like out of the sisters, obviously Ebony's getting all the development. Java's getting a fair bit of development as well, but Siva's not really getting so much, and now she's got this romance subplot with a character that the writers clearly don't know what to do with either. And a writing technique that TV writers often employ is when they have two characters and they don't know what to do with them, they often put them together so that they can
Mhm.
create one storyline around them.
Yeah.
Um, she doesn't get as much, but she does. I think
Gets
she's more
some.
of a slow burn. Her kind
Yeah.
of storyline of trying to break free from Ram's kind of grip and her even her own sister's grip is more of a slow build up. So she doesn't get as much, but I find her storyline a bit more interesting, to be honest.
Mm.
But yeah, you're
Better than
right.
Java's.
They just throw the love interest as a thing for her to occupy her time at the moment. Yeah.
She feels very underexplored because, as you just said, her trying to get out from under Java, her trying to get out from under Ram, and find herself, find her voice. That's interesting. But yeah, they're just kind of funneling her down. Oh, well, she's met Lexa and that's the way she does it. He's like the impetus that she has to get away from these two. But you can already see that she's already thinking that way long before she gets romantically
Mhm.
invested in him.
Yep.
And it's a shame because you get the feeling that a lot of what's happening doesn't sit as comfortably with her, and she's getting these reality checks, isn't she? When she's met Lex, and for the first time, she's met someone who's been affected by what they've done. And I don't think she's ever met anybody like that before. Like, she's not met whose family member or loved one's been taken. And I think she's starting to maybe realize that this is not good.
And there's another aspect to that, I think. I mean, she's also seen the amount of people that were affected by Ebony's choices in the past.
Mm.
But here's this boy that she finds interesting, but that still manages to, well, I wouldn't call it a friendship per se, but get along civilly with her sister without trying to strangle her constantly. So there must be something about him that's forgiving, that's accepting of being different than the standard good girl. Because from the way, especially with how Java always paints Ebony, Ebony is the enemy.
Yeah.
But she's also her sister.
Well, I think that's where Siva comes from, isn't it? Like, yes, she's our enemy, but she is our sister. Whereas I think Java's completely cut that off.
Yeah, and then there's someone like Lex who's, basically proof that there are people who can get along with Ebony in some way without being too affected by her, at least from what she can tell now.
I think you're giving the writing too much credit there, Sabine. I don't think they've made it. That's how she's recognised that. Come on, you're giving it too much credit.
It's wishful thinking, I know.
It's fantastic, but yeah, the writing doesn't show that deep. I love your thoughts though.
It was also clear that she was not prepared because when Ved comes to the door, she could easily have said that Lex was in her room, but she doesn't. And so I think that's the clear indication that, yeah, she's going to go on that date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every time I see Siva with Lex, it's like there used to be, I think it was a Backstreet Boys song, but if you wanted to be good girl, get yourself a bad boy. And it's like she's not after Jay, the Backstreet Boy kind of boy band kind of guy, but Cece's the bad guy, the kind of type of bad guy, and she wants him.
Just reminded me, that's kind of like a missed opportunity actually, because we could have had Ved find Lex in the room.
Yeah.
And had maybe Siva mentioned, well, I saw you with Chloe kind of thing. Like it could have been something interesting.
A bit of double dealing there, a bit of blackmail going on.
Both ways.
Both ways, yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what I do like though. I like the fact that they're all starting to get corrupted by the Verts. You've got Ved getting corrupted by the Verts. You've got Jay getting corrupted by Ebony. You've got Siva getting corrupted by Lex.
It didn't take long, did it?
No, it didn't. And again, it kind of also it gives credit to that other headcanon I had, which is they all lived on a base somewhere and they just picked up Steve and Java one day. Because these people have obviously never met anyone else other than the other people that they know that were in the base
Yeah,
with them.
that's interesting. Mhm. It does kind of feel like that
It's
way.
weird. It's like Java and Siva ended up with them after they were run off by the locos, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Right.
definitely what happened, isn't it?
Afraid for their lives or something like that, right?
Yeah. And sort of Ram was interested in Siva, and Java managed to make it a package deal.
Mm-hmm. And here's Java, uncorrupted by Verts.
Yeah. That's interesting, though, isn't it? Because,
Her name says it all.
you know. Yeah, because they just seem to come out and they're fully formed Technos.
Mhm.
Yeah, we get this little bit about them having been part of the logos, but do any of us actually believe that? Do they
No.
ever go out of their like? Do we think they know who Bray is? Because they should, but they don't.
Yeah, especially since Java and Siva were, part of the locos.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they went to school with Bray, and they
They
would
should
have
know
seen
Bray.
him in their house,
Should know
hanging out
Trudy.
with their. Yeah, they should know Trudy. They should know all this.
Should know Luke. Should know Jaffa. Like,
Yeah, like for God's sake.
just don't go down that rabbit hole because it gets silly. I don't know why they had to tie that in. Like, ugh.
Right, so I'm going to put these names out there for Java and Siva. I'm going Javine and Susan, okay?
Susan.
Look,
Uh,
it is what it
okay,
is.
that's now the headcanon. Javine and
Yeah.
Susan.
Aw.
Javine and Susan!
Oh,
You know.
oh, I'm sorry, we're not drunk.
But what do we think of this? Do we think there's chemistry between Lex and Siva?
No.
No. Yeah.
What do you?
I knew you were
Sorry.
gonna say that.
What do you guys think? I'm biased. Yeah. What do you think? I don't know.
I agree with you. I don't
Hmm.
feel it. I'm gonna be honest. I never felt it between them.
I don't feel it. Yeah, I don't feel a spark or anything. Like, do you like them, Sabine? Please don't say no. Please don't say yes. Sorry.
I
Oh
The
no.
only thing I liked about it was her idea of, okay, I want something different than these nerds I'm with.
Mm.
And apparently Lex is it. But no, they don't work as a couple.
They don't.
Mm. And it feels in many ways, I mean, look, I don't want to skip too far ahead with this, but it feels like he treated Sandra awfully. But Sandra kind of understood who Lex was. And the longer they were together, the less she was surprised by the sort of that he pulled out. Whereas it feels like Siva never really understands who Lex is. And always, like, because you were talking about him being a bad boy, but I don't think that's how Siva actually views him. From actions that we see later on, I think she always misinterprets who he is as a person. And yeah, it's such a mismatch. It's such a shame. It's so, because you could have done something really interesting here between them. Like we said, you could have had, like Sabine said, them getting closer because he's trying to find out info about Tysan and maybe potentially blackmailing Siva into helping him get Tysan back. There's lots of levels that you could have had this on, and we haven't got any of them. And it's just like, okay, so now they're going to be a couple. Okay, great.
You know what I was thinking at the time? At least it's not Lex and Salene. Anything is better than that
What?
option. Yeah, no, but that's like, they were gonna pair him with someone. I was just glad it wasn't Salene.
Yeah,
I mean,
is it
Dee's
weird
right
that I
there.
don't- I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but is it weird that I think that maybe there would be some interesting
No,
story elements
stop.
there?
Stop it. Oh.
Sorry.
Well, as long as it's not Ellie, I think it's fine.
Oh.
Ew.
Hey,
That
he
would
was
have just
making
been
moves on
grim.
Chloe.
Oh God, yeah.
Let's not forget.
I mean, I'm gonna throw this out there. If he'd made some moves on Pride, that might have been redeemable for Pride.
Hmm.
Oh my
I'd have
god!
been
Right.
like, okay.
Oh, Let's rein this back in. Let's move on to Ellie.
Monkey's running the zoo.
We're back in the Stone Age. You know that?
We were trying to lead decent lives. Unlike you.
Little Miss Anarchist thinks she's better than us.
None of this would have happened if you'd let us alone. You had no right.
But we don't need a right. Read your history books, girl. One people gets to be the boss over the other. And that's all that ever happened.
Ram, however, is only interested in playing games, giving Ebony a dud zapper to shoot Ellie with, and leaving Ellie's fate in Jay's hand after he's had his fun. So yeah, panel, what do you make of Ellie going for Ebony's throat, Ram's game playing, and obviously Ebony's willingness to kill her?
I thought this was really interesting because in this scene, you're meant to think that Ellie is the one that loses, but actually Ebony does, because she exposes herself to everybody in that room. And if you look at their reactions to her behavior, it's really interesting. So like Java isn't surprised at all, and she's glad that Ram can see Ebony for what she is. I think Siva is a bit disgusted. Ram is turned on. Ved looks a bit like, what the? Just, okay, she's crazy. And Jay's disgusted as well by her behaviour, because Ebony shoots Ellie like she's getting off on it. She's getting off on killing this person.
Mm-hmm.
And it is because, and the other thing is, she shows her hand that she would rather kill Ellie than kill Ram. And I know later on she says, oh, well, as if Ram was going to give me a zapper that worked. I mean, I'm not that stupid, but I totally did not believe that in that moment. I totally think that all she was thinking about is, how dare you try to have blown me up?
Right, yeah.
And it was so short term. Her sights were so short term. She was only thinking about her immediate pleasure and getting what she wanted, which was revenge on Ellie. Okay? And she didn't care about how she looked in that moment. I think once it didn't work, the third time she tried it, she then pulled back and she was like, right, this is a piss take. I'm out of this. And I think after that, it would have been nice if we'd seen her in the corridor freaking out a bit, like facially, because she realizes that she's just like shown her entire underbelly to everybody in that room. They now all know exactly who she is. She has betrayed herself entirely.
Yeah.
And it works because even Jay starts to distrust her after that, because he's put together what Ellie told him when he was interrogating her with Ebony's behaviour. I mean, Ebony in that scene looks completely unhinged. And she also looks like she's getting some gratification from this.
It was a nice callback to the old Ebony of old, when she would ruthlessly take out anyone in her way, like Danny and Tyson, Amber, Bob. So it was a nice callback to that, but the
difference there, though, is when she got rid of Amber, when she tried to get rid of Danny, and when she got rid of Bob, she did it. Nobody saw her do it.
Yeah.
Apart from the people that she was directly doing it to. She has now done this in a room full of people that saw her, saw exactly who she was.
This is a more public display of her abilities. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think Ram wanted this. I think he wanted to know if she would turn the weapon on him or if she would turn the weapon on Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
And she turned the weapon on Ellie, and I think that's what he wanted her to do. Because this is so small scale. This is so, big picture, shoot Ram. Little picture, get revenge on Ellie.
See, and the older Ebony would have done that. She would have fired at Ram. She was more long-term planning. She understands the bigger threat. I will get you, Ellie, at a different point in time. But for now, I will get the bigger threat. But obviously, Ebony's changed. Yeah, she's become a lot like Lex. She's less focused on the immediate issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, but does he have immediate issues with Ram?
Well, with him gone.
He's taken all her power. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got no power.
Ebony does not like that.
No, but this is Ebony we're talking about. I mean, she was Zoot's woman.
Mm-hmm.
She tried to convince Jaffa when she saw Jaffa's was going to seize power. She tried to convince him to do it with her. Not that that worked out for her the way she wanted to, because Java was having none of it. Jaffa, not Java.
Sorry, how do you mean?
The
Like
Guardian.
with the Guardian, sorry, Jaffa,
Yeah.
not Java. But now now there's Ram, and from what we saw in the flashbacks between Ebony and Zoot back then, Ebony was used to be forced to show how brave she is and what she would do.
Yeah.
You know, just to be worthy
Mm.
of getting that bit of power as the woman behind the man, basically. She has no power right now, that's her best bet.
Mm.
So, from that point of view, I can understand why she would aim at Ellie instead of aiming at Ram, because Ram is her ticket to power right now.
Mm. I mean, that, yeah.
Uh,
I think that is an interesting way of seeing it, because as you said, we have seen this behaviour in Ebony before. If she can't seize power herself, then she'll go for the most direct route to it, which is usually with one of these
A man.
men. And we know that Ram is interested in her. She knows
But
that.
she knows it.
He's making it pretty clear that he's interested in her.
I mean, this would require like the Ebony of old, but I don't see it in that scene. She's
I
just thinking
agree.
about
Yeah.
my immediate issue is this girl who tried to kill me. I'm going to get her back any way I can. So,
And
you make some great points.
I wonder if the Ebony of old might have seen through him faster and said, I'm not going to do this. This is your issue. You deal with it.
Yeah.
Because there's an argument there that Ebony could have just said, I'm not doing it. If you want her dead, you kill her yourself.
Yeah, but she's the one Ellie is after, not Ram.
Yeah, but she could
So
still
she's her
say,
issue.
I'm not doing it. You're
Yeah,
in
she's
charge of the city now, not me.
Yeah, but she's technically her issue, not Ram's.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, if we're talking about power, potentially could have used that as a way to say, well, you guys are in charge now.
You do my dirty
Show
work
me
for
how
me.
you
Yeah.
deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the Ebony of old would have kind of spun it like to like,
Yeah.
I'm not in charge, but I will make it like I am in charge. So if you want her gone, you do it. Like, but yeah, this new Ebony, I just don't think she's as intricate as she used to be.
No. They're trying to write her as if she's much cleverer than she actually is.
Yeah.
But she's not acting like that at all. And I did not understand why she behaved the way she did, because she just exposed herself.
Yeah. It's a bit upsetting because I always feel like the old Ebony would have realized that straight away. Like, I cannot do this in a room full of this invading tribe. I cannot show my hand like this. Like, that's a Lex thing to do. I will not show my hand yet. Yeah. And she did it without a moment's thought. Like, Ebony, no, the old you would not have done this.
No. No.
You're smarter than this.
Yeah.
This is what she's like when her sisters are near.
Well, that's a good point as well, though. Is that the deciding factor that's made this different? Because you've got Java saying things to Siva that Ebony can clearly hear because she's in the same room. They're not that far away from each other. She can hear her saying things like this. Is that the trigger point for her acting so deranged? Is that what it is? Is it because they're both there and she wants to be like, listen, if you mess with me, you're going to get burned.
Yeah, might be.
Oh, true. Okay, that's an angle. Yeah.
But again, the writing's not backing this up.
Yes, that's the thing. If the writing had all these interesting threads, if the writing just had a little bit of just touched on all these little threads, it would have made the scene even better. But no.
all in all, it's another episode for Tamsin's missed opportunity.
Exactly.
Button.
Yeah, we're going to be pressing that. We've pressed it twice already. We're pressing it again. Talking about Ram's gameplaying.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Ram, the only thing that was really concerning him was making sure that the Technos name was cleared.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the thing he was really worried about. Because he also wanted to see Ebony's reaction. After that, he don't care about Ellie. They could cut her loose and let her go back to the mall. He just could care less.
Yeah.
She's just a means to an end. Yes, they've got a culprit now. And so it's not Techno. And it's it's interesting, but again, it's also kind of odd because you would think that he would then execute Ellie in some kind of public space to show everybody you do not mess with us. If you try and pull this sort of thing, this is what happens. We show no mercy. And he doesn't do that. It's just,
Hmm.
it's very interesting because he is like the worst boss you could ever work with because you never know what he's going to do next. He's so unpredictable. And I actually think the writing around Ram is some of the most interesting
Oh,
we'll
absolutely,
get
yeah.
in the tribe.
It's a great juxtaposition between him and like Jaffa, because like
Yeah.
he would have like executed you on the spot for attempting to kill like
Yeah.
the bomb kind of thing. But no, he's different, and I love that
He is.
that kind of new kind of angle we get for an invading tribe.
And I like that, like, by not caring about what happens to Ellie after this, Ram's making it seem like, okay, yeah, but these verts, they're of so little importance.
Yeah.
We don't even need to make a spectacle out of it.
Yeah, that's
That
true.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're unworthy of his time and attention.
Mhm.
They're just
Yeah.
a tiny pebble in your shoe. It's
It's brilliant.
And
It's
that's
so,
insulting.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
You're
so
so beneath
interesting.
me.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't care if you try
Jay,
to
throw
kill
out the trash.
I'm definitely going to say that Ram is the best thing that came out of season 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Like, no contest. Yep.
And talking about Ellie's defiance, I think it's really interesting because we've seen Ellie lose control. She's been having a nervous breakdown since we picked up with her. But she stares down Ebony. Yeah. She's staring at her own death. And she really, I think even Ellie knows that Ebony's exposed herself because she kind of stares back at her and she's stone cold, doesn't she? After she's initially tried to sort of tear her hair out and grab her and go, "You cow!" When she's sitting there and she's going to shoot her, she sits there and it happens 3 times she tries to do it and Ellie just stares right back at her. And yeah, that is Alice coming out of Ellie, I would say. Because you totally know that if Alice was looking down, she would do a similar thing. If she can't fight her way out, she's not going to let somebody see her break down.
Nope.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was an interesting scene. The writing could have been better.
And it was completely ruined by what happens next.
Yeah, it was.
Hmm.
It was completely
I'm just gonna
ruined.
I'm gonna let you guys talk about this because worried for Ellie, Mouse and Charlie steal some apples from the market and try to get into the hotel with them, pursued by Chloe and Pride, which leads to them being apprehended by Technos who fear another bomb. It's at this moment that Ellie is then led out and tries to give a letter for Jack to Jay, who instead tells her she can give it to him herself, before she's driven away while the few assembled Mallrats give her a weirdly cheerful send-off and wave goodbye. Go ahead, Panel.
Okay, so you know when we've been talking about characters who are written to be more clever than they actually are. I want to bring us back to Pride. When they were outside him and Chloe, and you had the bag of apples there, and Chloe said, "What's going on?" And he goes, "I think I know what's going on." Okay, so tell us, Pride. What do you think is going on? Right? Because, and then Ellie comes out and it's like, it's so strange. The whole setup of it, everybody, the contrivance that Mouse and Charlie and Pride and Chloe are all there right at the same moment to watch Ellie come out and be taken away. I mean, there's been a lot of bad writing in this series, but this has got to be one of the high points. This is a bad writing award. Whoever wrote this scene is going to win because none of it makes sense. You're seeing somebody who you knew has been captured, taken away. You're hearing all this stuff about them having made this bomb and all stuff like that. But you know this person. You've lived with them for years. So some part of you must be like, Ellie does bomb making now? I mean, I thought she just liked doing the newspaper. But anyway, And then you see her getting loaded into this truck, and your response is to go, like, as if she's gotten on a train going on holiday, like, but you don't know where she's going. Where they could be taking her off to shoot her in the woods. She could be appointment shallow grave. And you're just standing there waving like an idiot. Enjoy prison!
Pride is supposed to have such stealthy tracking skills. Why the hell isn't he following them?
Well, because she's going to have this wonderful new life in a prison camp. He doesn't know
With
any
Jack.
of this, of
With
course.
Jack.
But because he's got omniscience, right, he, of course, knows exactly what's going on, God. It's just, there was a way to do this scene. The way to do this scene was for Jay to go to the mall and to tell them that they're going to take Ellie away today and where she's going. And then for Pride and Chloe to go there and to say goodbye to her as she's loaded in. That's a much easier scene to write. It makes more sense. It doesn't make everyone look like a complete moron, or just callous.
Or just the kids. Like, had it just been Mouse and Charlie who heard that, like, because they went to that hotel with they wanted to bring this to the prisoner.
Yeah.
Because that's what they mentioned. They were trying to get this to the prisoner.
Yeah.
Like, them seeing Ellie off, that's fine, because they were trying to get inside to see Ellie.
That makes sense.
Like, they weren't there to wave her off.
No.
But, so them saying goodbye to Ellie, sure, but it's the whole Pride and Chloe part of it.
It's the contrivance.
Because they had to,
there
because
at the same time.
There's no other Mallrats to send her off. We didn't even get Lex and Selene, so they had to force a scene with Chloe and Pride.
Yeah.
Because you can just have Mouse and Charlie. Well, this is a legacy character was sending off, and you've only got Mouse and Charlie. It's like, oh my god!
Gonna believe, are Mouse and Charlie going to be able to convey to the other Mallrats what has happened?
No, I mean, forget the Mallrats. The audience. How are you going to convey to the audience, like, well, this is goodbye, and like you have him just Mouse and Charlie there, like, oh, it was just done bad.
But saying that, we are seeing this legacy character off, but Pride and Chloe don't exactly share any sort of heartfelt messages or
nothing.
If you see so and so, or like, there's none of that. It's just like waiting from a distance.
Big smiles. Bye.
If Ellie had just shouted, "They're taking me to Jack,"
well, then you'd be really worried, because you'd be thinking, but where's Jack?
Well, where's Jack? Exactly. Yeah, where is Jack? Well, what have no one's actually said.
Well, then they could have at least gone at Jay with a is he still alive then?
No, we can't have anything on Jay. We can't have him looking bad. So that's why we can't have any of these conversations, because it makes Jay look bad.
No.
The thing is, though, this actually makes Jay look worse. Okay, because coming down the line, this actually makes him look worse. Because I messaged you guys about this, but now I'm going to tell to the listeners why this makes him look so bad. So you had an opportunity here, because we know that Ellie never makes it to Jack. We know that whatever they do to her, she never gets there. Maybe some sort of experiments, because she completely loses her memory, right? So all it would have taken is for a couple of episodes on, when things are starting to unravel with Jay, when he's starting to want to leave the Technos completely, for him to find some sort of memo or email that basically says that Ram countermanded his orders and had Ellie sent away for experimentation, something that he did not know about at all. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a get out of free jail card for Jay, because he sent Ellie away thinking that she would be reunited with her boyfriend and that she would be nominally safe. Okay? And it also doubles down on the fact that Ram never really trusted Jay, and also that he is a terrible person. He's a terrible person. And that's a great way of having a get out of jail free card for Jay. He doesn't look so bad, because he looks inept. He's an inept leader. We're meant to believe that this is the same person who organised Ram is the spearhead of the invasion, but it wouldn't have been able to go through had it not been for Jay and the expertise of the people he had around him actually going into the city and sort of jumping out of planes and stuff like that. We're meant to think that he could do that, but that when it comes to sort of managing which prison camp someone goes to, he's so inept. You can't have it both. And it just feels like a bit more planning, and they would have been able to sort some of this out. But what it just comes down to is that Jay makes excuses as to not knowing what was going on, when in fact, Ram is so mercurial, you wouldn't know what was going on. Because he's just saying one thing, saying another thing, making people go here, making people disappear. Yes, Jay would seem naive because he thinks he's got a handle on Ram when he clearly doesn't. But what do you guys think?
I mean, it just ties back into the fact that for the audience, Jay is a good guy. So we literally cannot have these questions hovering over him too much, because we're trying to push him as this new Bray, this new good guy. He's going to be a force for good, as we can see. So they can't have all these deep questions. We can't have him being seen as the instrument of organizing all the slave camps and everything like that. Because it would cloudy that too much, and they don't want to go into that depth with him, because even though that would have been a whole lot more interesting as a character and for the story, but no, we just wanted to push him as this great good guy. That's basically it. That's what they wanted to do.
Their cake needs it too, because he is agreeing to send them off somewhere.
But he is sending people off. That's the problem. You're right. They're trying to do both at once.
They're trying to go for the Luke, I could have known, but I didn't want to know route.
Yeah.
Then the question is, who knows? It's the same with
who knows? That's
Luke
the question.
and stuff but they just.
And they have enough characters now in the Technos.
They do. We actually do have Technos to play with.
Yeah, exactly.
That could have simply been, oh yeah, sorry, that's not my department, but I know a guy who's arranged for Ellie to be sent there.
Simple, yeah. But
I pulled some strings, and they say they're going to take her to wherever Jack is.
Wherever Jack,
Yeah. Well, that's essentially what he does say.
I asked Mega nicely, and he's doing this for us because he has a list.
It's just badly done. It's just we can't have these questions hovering over Jay, our golden boy. So let's just make it as smooth as possible, basically.
And maybe we're looking at it the wrong perspective, because we're looking at it as adults, and we're saying it would have been much more interesting.
Oh
if
no,
Jay
no!
had been like this.
Even back then, I was like, "What is going on?"
Okay.
I was like, "How is this guy who is in charge of this invasion pretending No, even back then, I was like, "No, this ain't right." Were you trying to play? Are you trying to make me believe this guy is a force of good? And I can see the list of stuff he's been involved in and done. It's not gelling. It's not working.
Well, in many ways, it makes him a more interesting love interest for Ebony, because he too has done a lot of shady stuff, and he's done.
They never reference it.
People,
Unlike Ebony, they never reference the bad stuff that Jay's done. Never. The stuff he's done, no one references it ever. When does the show ever go, "Oh, Jay, apart from that one moment in season 5 with Amber," never happens. We don't get this.
It is very frustrating. It is. Because the thing is, the characters that we knew in season 1 were not perfect. You had that whole thing with Jack, where he was like, let her starve to death. And he was hoarding all that water. You had Lex trying to force himself on Sandra. You had all of the stuff. You had Salene stealing food from people because of her eating disorder. Hardly any of the characters, bar the children, the really young children like Chloe and Patsy and Paul, were what I would call innocent. They all had some level in them, and they were prepared to do stuff to survive. And none of them were sort of perfect people. They were all flawed. And we've gone from that to this, where this would have been a really interestingly flawed character. Nah, we can't have that. We've got to have, like you say, boy band, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Jay has to be. He's the golden boy.
I mean, as Liz would say as well, unfortunately, it's not just restricted to Jay, because obviously it happens with Amber as well. They just
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of her
Yeah.
issues and stuff are just swept away.
Why do you think they have to end up together?
Yeah, she becomes this kind of perfect poster girl, even though she never was like that. She was flawed, and that's what made her interesting. But it's just swept away when she comes back, and it's just a shame because they've shown that they can do flawed characters, but not anymore.
Arguably, it's the flawed characters and the great writing around the characters that made us fall in love with them in the first place, and the whole show.
Yeah. I didn't want perfect. I wanted flawed characters.
Yeah.
That's more interesting.
Yeah.
That's human. But no, when you just have these ready-made, out of the oven characters who are perfect, it's just boring. To be honest.
Yeah. I'll press the button, shall I?
Yes. That's it. We've lost Ellie now for actually a whole season now.
It's sad. I'm actually
Another
gonna miss her.
legacy character. I'm gonna miss her. I wasn't even a big Ellie fan, but because we've lost so many Mallrats, it's like, damn, that's another one gone.
I think it would have been interesting to see Ellie without a boyfriend and without her sister, and see how she would have developed.
Well, but we can't have that.
No. I mean, of course, it's the tribe. We can't have that.
You
No.
can't have a single lady or a man. No.
Yeah. No.
You're not whole unless you have a partner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? You know.
And that's why Trudy can never be whole.
Oh. Yeah.
Because they wanted her to suffer. Because she can never have a guy.
She doesn't deserve it, does she?
Because it's everybody hates Trudy, you know. I mean, clearly there were people against that girl.
Just really didn't want her to be happy. It's just
no. I mean, even in the books, they don't want her to be happy. She's still getting the hang in wherever she goes.
Not there yet.
But no, I think it's genuinely sad. I'm sad to see Ellie go, because I also think she's been fairly strong in these first couple of episodes, this first quarter of the series. I think Ellie's been very strong, and she's been in many ways the emotional core of what happened when everyone was taken away, because she's still there. She's still at the restaurant, you know. And other people are moving on. She's been our emotional sort of lodestone, really. She's been in the middle of this. She hasn't moved on from it. It's still affecting her to such an extent that she did this really heinous thing. Because I understand why she felt she needed to stop Ebony, but my goodness, the collateral damage of that. And you know, Jay even says it. You know, Lex and Dee were in the hotel that night. They would have died. Do you not care about that? And I think, you know, now that we're losing Ellie, we're losing that. We're losing someone who reminded us of what we've lost through her own grief process. So it'll just be like all of this never happened. It's all fine now. Lex has got his leg over with Siva, so he doesn't really miss Tysan anymore. Pride's glad to have the May out of his life. That's one thing he wanted gone. And everyone's kind of just like, I mean, maybe it is better that they're all gone. How do you feel about it, Sabine? Because we all know that you're not an Ellie fan. So you go off, Queen. Tell us what you really think.
What I really think. Surprisingly enough, I actually felt bad about Ellie leaving, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah. But I can't either. I'm shook. I'm shook.
Yeah. But it's with everyone else we've lost, it's just Ellie was that last little bit of actual, you know, rounded out Mallrat. That's not. It's just there's two little people left. She's what was left of Jack and what was left of Alice.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just it's so sad seeing her go as well, because that makes it feel like, okay, there really is no one left now.
No. And obviously we're going to get the pale imitations of Ellie and Jack later in the series. We've already got one of them. And yeah, because at this stage in the tribe, not only are we not getting complex characters, we're just getting the same 3 or 4 stereotypes, to fill a need. And then once they're back, those characters will then no longer be required. We have Ellie and Jack at home, and
That brings us to our final thoughts of the episode.
I just didn't want you to think that I could do what Ellie did. I'm not saying I'm better than her, but I just couldn't do that. I didn't want you to think that maybe I would.
I know. Really, I do. But supposing that's what it takes to get evil out of the world. What if Allie's right and we're wrong? What then?
Well, there's always another way. We'll find it.
You really believe that?
Yes. No question.
And they kiss. So, panel, how did you react to Pride and Salene?
Do you want to go, Sabine?
Not really. I don't want to think about Pride and Salene.
Okay, let's take a step back. Do you think the build-up to this has been done well?
It's been coming for a while. It's been coming for a while, hasn't it? It's been telegraphed. It's been clear. I mean, it's interesting that we've gone from the escalation of Pride's behaviour, where at different points when I've been on talking to you guys, like he's been screaming in everybody's faces. He's clearly not, he's having a meant to be, let's be real. And he's not exactly what you would necessarily want as the love interest for yourself, But this has been telegraphed the entire time, the way that they've been moving closer together. And does anybody else think the only reason they put these two together is because there's literally no one else?
Yep.
Like, they're not going to put him with Ellie. Chloe is far too young for him. Salene is the only viable option for a love interest. Because when Amber comes back, spoiler, they're still not going to put him with her. He is not in Amber's league. So there's only one person left. And they I think it's interesting, in the notes you say, Salene trying to read The Art of War like Amber did. And then
she's trying to be more like Amber.
Yeah, she's trying to be more like Amber. And
it's the writers though, like, come on, writers, like, stop it. Like, this is so obvious to anyone who's watched the show.
Yeah.
But it's such a shame, because Selene's got strength. And I know well, I was just going to say, she's got her own strength. Like you said about her, like, it feels more homely in the mall now. Is that something to do with Salene? Selene's very good with the kids.
Yeah.
These are her strengths. This is where she is very good at making a sort of comfortable. Well, look, she's
a homemaker.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, and that's where her actual strength lies, in the family unit, and how she can perform a sort of make people feel safe, even though the situation is quite dire. Rather than play to what is strong in Salene, they just give her an Amber makeover, and it doesn't work, because this is not who she is. She's got a unique set of behaviours, strengths and weaknesses that are all her own. I don't agree with some of the arguments, Selene's a terrible person. They're all terrible people. They've all done stuff. It's not fair for her not to be able to grow because of the way she treated Ryan. You can see that she does, especially at the end of season 3, she does regret the way she treated Ryan. She acknowledges that she treated him badly, and she acknowledges that she is not a great person. Bringing her in season 4, having her continue to go on that journey, where, she's grown up a bit. She's not the same woman. Well, girl. She was a girl when she was with Ryan. Now she's a woman. She understands the mistakes that she made. But rather than have her find her strength in the things that are plus points for her character, like we said, but instead of that, what we get is she's Amber 2.0 until Amber eventually comes back. And then she'll slide back into the stuff that Salene used to do.
This is the problem, because
though? To me, it feels like Salene is continuously thinking, okay, now it's up to me. what would Amber do?
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
that's like
Because that's
it's
what the writing wants, though. Like, what would Amber do? 'Cause she's not here. What would Amber do? Like, stop it, writers.
yeah,
What would Selene do? She's the mother of the
Yeah,
tribe.
that's
yeah.
the
She's
point.
But
trying to protect
Salene,
her family. Show what she would do, not what
Yeah,
Amber would do.
yeah, because Salene would do it completely differently.
Right.
Salene is such an insecure person that her way of being able to fulfill that role now that Amber is gone is to just mimic what she thinks.
No, I don't believe that.
I mean, that's an
It's
it is
in-
an interesting take on it. That is an interesting take on this, I have to say.
that's like she's thinking, what have other people done? And it's just
But it just,
because she doesn't know what to do, she's going forward on what that person would have done. But
I mean, I guess I can see where you're going with that, Sabine. The only thing that I would say is everything we know about Salene is that if that was her trajectory of thought, the minute it starts to not go the way she thinks it's going to go, she would change her mind and she would change her behavior, because we've seen her do that. But she continues this. So I do think I do agree with that. I think it's poor writing and poor writing around her character. And maybe the writers never really understood who she was. They just continually were like, you know how they treat Trudy? Salene was always a damsel in distress. She was always a damsel in distress. She had to be rescued by somebody. She got rescued by Amber. Then she got rescued by Ryan. And she's never really had to sort of stand on her own 2 feet. And that's, I think, maybe how the writers kind of viewed her. And then suddenly they've been stuck with her and they are essentially just using her to fill a gap.
Yeah, and since they can't have Danny return to do that,
Mm.
someone has to do it.
Yeah, and it's such a disappoint. It's so disappointing because seeing Salene how she would actually cope with this, seeing Salene grow up so that people don't always level the same things at her. Because the thing about these characters that we have enjoyed about them is how a lot of them have changed. A lot of them have gone on journeys, and they're not exactly the same as they were in series 1. But it just feels like with Salene, she's not really able, or she doesn't earn the change because, from our perspective as the viewers, she doesn't earn it. So when she's acting like this, it is just as a placeholder.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. She always was. And I do.
What do you think?
In that, I do think it's fitting that once Amber returns, Salene reverts back to former behaviors because she no longer has to fulfill that role.
Well, it's not
Like,
immediate
that pressure
though.
is
I mean,
gone.
she doesn't really go back to those sort of behaviors until Amber's full time in series 5.
Yeah, because she doesn't have to take that part of the responsibility anymore. There's someone else who can do it now. But right now, there's no one else. And she knows she can't look at Pride to do it all. Not after his betrayal of her last season.
I don't even think she remembers that. To be honest, I don't even think the writers remember that.
I don't think that. Yeah, I was going to say
Nobody remembers that. We remember that. That's about it.
I just hate this. I just hate we've got 2 characters that the writers are like, what would Amber do? What would Amber do? They forced them into this pigeonhole rather than seeing what these characters would naturally develop and do for themselves. I don't like it. And yeah, Salene and Pride together.
It's annoying. We see her trying to transform into some weaker version of Amber. And Pride's instantly, okay, some form of Amber is better than no form of Amber, I'll take it.
I ask you guys a question about this, which is, this whole series was an exercise in getting new fans, wasn't it, really? It was bringing people to the tribe. So my question is, how successful do you think that really is when so much of this conversation we're having about Salene revolves around Amber, who, if you have not yet seen, you will not have seen her. You've heard her mentioned all the time, but you've not yet seen her. And I wonder if the writers started out the series thinking, we're going to write to gain some new fans. So we're going to broaden the palette. We're going to we're going to have this new invading tribe. We're going to learn all about the city again, and the fans that we already have will come with us. And any new, we'll gain a new audience. And I just wonder if in the writers' room they've forgotten that mission statement, because so much of this is about what we as fans already know about these characters, as opposed to giving us interesting characters. Do you guys know what I mean?
I wonder though if new viewers saw it the same way as we did.
Well,
Because
that's what I'm
we
trying to say.
we feel like she's trying to fill Amber's role.
Well, we don't
But
just feel
someone
that
else,
though, do we? Because
yeah,
they keep mentioning it.
yeah, but
Yeah,
like
it's not like it's
new,
You know,
yeah, but it's
like
like
subtle.
but new fans would have never seen that.
no, but they keep hearing Amber's
They
name
keep
being
hearing, this
Yeah,
ghost of a name. Oh, I'm trying to be
so
like her, but they're like, who is
yeah,
this Amber? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like you don't know who she is. You've not seen her, so you're being constantly told.
but they've also not seen the old Salene.
no,
Yeah,
but
well,
they know
that's the
she's
fact.
trying to be like this Amber,
Yeah,
mysterious Amber,
they
godlike person,
they
but we don't know
yeah,
why or how.
yeah, yeah, but they do not know how different Salene already is from what she was.
Yeah, yeah, but the point is, they could just take her and show her being as she is now without us
Hmm.
constantly having to hear about Amber.
But we always need to hear about Amber because she's our goddess.
It's
See,
just the
this
writing
is the
is all
writers
over the place.
Hmm.
wanting their cake and eat it too, kind of thing. Like they
Yeah,
wanted to keep dangling the keys of the original characters. They might come back at some point whilst trying to push the story forward. It's like you can't have it both ways. Either
no,
develop
and
the
this is
characters
where
or Mhm.
this is where the key dangling starts to feel like the only thing they're actually interested in doing,
Mhm.
and that kind of feels like they're just talking to us fans. But if the mission statement was to get us on board and a new group of fans as well, they're failing, because I mean it would be interesting to listen to hear a perspective of someone who came in series 4. What did they think of Amber being mentioned and referenced all the time and never seen?
Mm. Oh, we can ask Carlin when he comes on because Carlin, I think, started on season 4.
Yeah, he
So
did.
it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to hear his
yeah,
opinion on
get his perspective. It'll be very
this
interesting.
Amber constantly being mentioned non-stop.
Well, it's not Amber. It's not just Amber though, because when
Uh,
she's back, it's Bray.
and then,
Bray gets
yeah,
on.
it becomes
Yeah,
Bray.
yeah, and they're like these two characters that loom over everything, and nothing any of these other characters can do is original. It's all just,
Yeah, a
oh, Amber
payback
would do this.
to.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, but yeah, I'm anti Salene and Pride. Sorry, I do not like shoving these two together. Um, I don't think their relationship is very good.
No.
But that's just me. I mean, mm.
They grew on me, but right now I just I don't know. I guess some couples I remember differently than they actually were. Mainly
Mhm.
anything to do with pride, I guess.
It's interesting the sort of mental block we've all got around Pride.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Liz will say that she was there from day one. She thought he was sus. But, you know,
Yeah.
the rest of us,
Until we pushed her differently.
like, we all remember him being completely different. It's so weird. It's like, this is that Mandela effect that people talk about.
Yeah. It's like I just still see Pride as the adorable guy from the woods who was helping these strangers,
Yeah.
and then and but even with Pride and Trudy and Brady, like he was so sweet towards them and so kind. That's the Pride I remember.
Yeah. I mean,
The rest of Pride I just blocked out.
arguably, he hasn't been that since like episode 5 of series 3.
No,
I was going to say,
just
as Liz would say, he hasn't been like that since the beginning. He's been more. He spent more time as this new one than we've ever
Yeah.
seen of the old one. Like,
yeah,
how is this
Yeah.
happening? It's
because
weird.
we remember the adorable screenshots that were used for all the fan art over the years.
We desperately wanted that guy, but we didn't get
Yeah.
that.
And honestly, yeah, but Liz wrote him very adorable and great in roleplay, and that helps. That's my memories blended together on that.
But I mean, arguably, he was introduced in a very strong way, wasn't he?
Yeah,
And I think
Yeah.
that kind of looms over it as well. And like you say, Sabine, fan interpretations have then fed into it. And yeah, it feels like he has gotten away with his behaviour. And also,
Oh,
I would
yes.
argue that the fans have come down harder on some characters than others.
Mm-hmm.
And Pride's one of those ones that people do not come down on as hard as they should, because he is objectively absolutely awful.
But there's one thing that Pride has that worked in his favor.
Is it a penis?
Pride was
Yes,
introduced.
pretty much.
I didn't say that.
Let's be real. I mean,
No,
it's...
Pride was introduced in the same season as Ned.
Okay. But arguably...
That's a low bar.
Arguably...
It works in his favor a lot.
Yeah,
That's like,
but I'm going to say something...
Who do we hate?
Can I say something a bit controversial, though?
What? Pride without his shirt helped?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I'm
that
just gonna
stuff
say-
helps. That stuff helps.
I'm going to say something a bit controversial, though, about Pride and Ned.
Uh-oh.
Ned is exactly what you think he is. He is not pretending to be anything other than what he is. He is a monster.
See is what you get.
He is a horrible person, right? We know that from the off, okay? He is a bumbling, moron, sexist pig, okay? Pride is one of those awful, and I'm going to do air quotes, no one's going to see it, nice guys, who is all the same things that Ned is, but it's undercover. And I think you can kind of guard against someone like Ned because you know exactly who he is, whereas Pride is so sort of invasive in the way he is and who he is. And yeah, it is a clear bar to clear between the two of them. But actually, I'd argue that Pride is just like, he is just awful. I mean, they're both awful. The fact that they were in that like that, the whole of series 3 to me, this is why I'm enjoying series 4, is because series 3 was horrible. The more we talked about it, the more I started to hate everyone, all of the characters towards the end. And Pride and Ned are like the nadir of that for me, because they're just, both of them are so grim.
Yeah, but I just think that's a part of it, We compare them.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
general
no, you're
public
totally right.
opinion is like, okay, who's the worst character? And everyone will instantly say Ned.
Because that's true. I mean, he is the worst character they ever put to page.
And then there's Pride, who also had his nice moments, and at least a nicer introduction. We see good moments with Pride, even when he's in the mall with his, as the Tai Chi master, he seems kind. He seems nice for a bit, and creepy. But
it's still few and far between.
But that's what we remember. Or at least
but why? Why is that? Why is that why we remember? Because we've had so much time with him as this douchebag, basically, with between May and Salene and all the stuff he does. Like, why is it that we only remember that tiny bit where he was a nice guy for a little bit and interesting?
Well, I think Sabine hit it on the head when she said that it is the fan interpretations. It's things like Liz's writing. I also think, like I said, he joined. It was a really interesting introduction to his character. How we met him in the woods. All of that stayed with you, and it blended together. And then also you had these sweeter scenes with him and Salene and the two children. And that is
I get you, but let me just counter that for a second. I get you, but that never happens when you see a female character.
I would agree.
It never happens. Immediately, all their sins are on display straight away, regardless. And it's not fair.
I could not agree more. And I'll tell you for why. Because I am a Tai-san fan. And nobody ever let anyone forget that she was
a single thing she does.
And that she tried to do what she could do with the Guardian. And they make it seem as if she is just some, she'll hook up with anybody at a moment's notice. And it's like, That is not the story. That's not what happened. You are completely forgetting the reality, and it comes from a place a lot of the time of misogyny. You are straight in there, Lance, and it is
Yeah.
right. We will forgive unless you look like Ned, right? He don't get a pass. If
You get a free
Ned looked
pass
like
if you look
Pride,
cute.
right? If he looked like that, we might have even given him a free pass. But we're not going
Yeah.
to do that, right?
Yeah,
So Ned joins
that's-
the women in the fact that he ain't getting no free pass.
Oh my god.
You know, forget
it's
it.
true. You know, like what kind of introduction did we get of Pride? He was awesome. He was in Woods, and within a few episodes, he takes his shirt off to fight Lex.
Yeah, and it blinds you to the reality of how he is. I would say one of the most volatile characters we've ever had, and he's
Yeah, but
really nasty. There's an element
but
to Pride that's really nasty. The way he kind of blows up in people's faces, screaming and shouting in front of the children, like his behavior is bad. You know, if that was in a soap opera, if you saw that, you'd be like, he's abusive. He's got that in him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're right. He took his top off, and it was just like, oh my goodness.
Ooh, nice. That combined with the hair, it did it.
So Ned just needed to hit the gym and get a makeover, and we might have forgiven him. Is that what we're saying?
Worked out a bit more. Had Pride's length hair, absolutely. I would have forgiven a
Well,
lot. But
let's not forget that they wanted Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords to play Ned. Got down to the
Yeah.
final two. So if he played him, arguably, we all would
Yeah.
be saying completely different things about Ned.
Wow,
Most
the
likely.
fandom would have been like, yep, we love this guy. You get
Yeah.
free pass.
And he got super famous. That helped.
And he did, yep. I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I mean,
We've done an Ebony. We've exposed ourselves.
no, we'll definitely come back to this topic on a because there is a undercurrent of misogyny like in the tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will come up again and
yeah.
again. But yeah, on that bombshell, that brings Series 4, Episode 13 to a close. Thank you very much to the panel, and you can show your support by clicking on that like and subscribe and following us on all the major platforms. You can also leave us a comment or get in touch if you'd like to take part in a future episode of the podcast yourself. Just search for the tribe.uk or Conversations on Eagle Mountain. You can also throw us a donation. Just head on over to buymeacoffee.com/thetribe.co.uk. And we'll see you next time for episode 14. Until then, bye.
Bye.
Bye.